Hey, welcome back. Let's just jump on in. So we'll go over some things real quickly. Bubbler Summerfest, just kind of, we're finalizing things this week. Phase 4, include all your working. I want to see all the designs, everything that comes up. I want to see mock-ups. Like if you do a poster, let's see the poster out in the world. You do a flyer, I want to see the flyer. Like at some place in public. Nobody's gonna have the flyer in their bedroom on a table. Like it's something I'll talk about later on in the course, but let's do some mock-ups and just start finalizing. Use that midweek review and I'll help you out as much as I can up until the final end, and then we're done with it. So you can wipe your hands of it. Hopefully the design will be done. One thing I want to mention, this has been coming up and I feel like I've mentioned it to a few people. Vehicle templates. Find the vehicle template and we need every side designed, not a 3/4 view, not just the front, not just the back. Here's why. Left and right sides are different. So if you logo it up or you make a design on one side, you have to sit there and flip and make sure that there's nothing on the other side that will impede it, or it reads backwards and all that kind of stuff. So make sure. There's thousands. I literally just Googled vehicle templates. And if you put in the name of your car, it's going to come up. You're going to get close enough. That's what we want to see. Top, front, back, left, right. Design flat. You're also supposed to design flat. We never design onto a 3D object. We always design flat, and then once it's designed flat and it's approved, then we can mock it up on a 3D object. We never do that in reverse. That will be a point I will bring up more in with the next assignment, like with the next big assignment. I have a whole series on like designing flat, then bringing that flat file and using that to create the 3D objects that you need to create. It just looks better. It's just going to turn out better. Like you never design on a 3D object. You always design flat and then bring that to a 3D object. So this is what I'm looking for. Literally just typed in vehicle templates to show you how many millions and millions there are. Your vehicle is available. You just dig around for a couple minutes. You'll find a side shot and just grab the whatever screenshot it is. That's all you need. You just need to see it flat from every angle. So please do that. I've mentioned that to a couple people. Make sure you're using all sides, flat. Just knock it out. Easy. It's just designing like a poster. You just design flat. And then when the people print it, because they print it on flat sheets, and then they can mold it. And I've done hundreds of vehicle wraps. It's called a vehicle wrap. I've done hundreds, from semis to VW bugs to I did video bugs to, God, you name kind of the vehicle. I've probably wrapped one. Jeeps, SUVs. Oh, so many SUVs. But yeah, I've done them all. So start flat and then move that into the mock-up. Don't mock it up. It just doesn't work out. So please do that. Please, 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 please. All right. So that's that one. Work with me. It's just tweaking, getting those designs right and getting them finalized. That's all I'm looking for there. So work on that. Your graphic design discovery B, again, keep these around. You'll be coming back to these like once they're done. And then every designer needs to know, how to do those. They're coming out great. Like you guys are rocking it. So it's fun. I love it. Let's talk about first paste in place and then outlining fonts, because that's the longer of the two to deal with. So paste in place, what is it? Well, paste in place is this fantastic item within all programs now. It's just not in Illustrator. It's just not in InDesign. I had a friend, met with a friend, and he's like, oh, it's in Photoshop. And I was like, what? And he had to show me where it was. So I'll show you where it's in Photoshop. So this hasn't been updated, but it is in Photoshop as well. What is paste in place, you may say? Well, say I have a document. I'm actually going to close CP and just a file, new document. And I'm going to create whatever. I'm going to turn it to inches because that drives me nuts. I don't want facing pages, but I want like 5 pages. Let's do 5 is enough. I got 5 pages. We're going to look on pages. They are facing. Damn it. I thought I turned it off. File. New document. Not facing. Inches. Create. All right. Now I got 5 pages. And I got this thing. And I want this square. And it's going to be filled with black. There we go. But I have 5 pages, 5 different pages. It needs to be on the same place on every page. I can use parent pages, and that's a great way to do it. But say I only want it on like a couple pages and backgrounds are changing. What do I do? Well, you can copy, and then when I go to page 2, if I paste, and I can be like, oh, okay, paste it in the middle, because that's what it's supposed to do. And I'd be like, oh, here, it's right there. But when I go from one page to another, see, it jumps. We don't want that. All you have to do, oops, I released the llama. All you got to do is go to copy. And then if I go to edit, or you do the whole thing, paste in place. It pastes it in the exact same place, on the different artboard, no matter what. And then when I go from one page to another, there's no movement. There's no switch. So when you're doing multi-page presentations or you're doing 7 different posters, this is one way to make sure when you move one thing from one page and you want it exactly on the other page, and it's because it's only used once or twice, this is how you do it. Paste in place. Illustrator also has it. If I start, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to grab my artboard. Just a quick way to do it. Duplicate my artboard. And then I was working on my piece, just working away. And then I added this here, and I was like, oh, shoot, I need it on here. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy. I'm going to make sure this artboard is activated. I'm going to go to edit, paste in place. And it's going to paste it in the exact same place on the artboard. So that's how you get away. Like when I'm like, oh, your design is jumping. Something seems like a pixel or 2 off from one page to another. This is one way to correct that. I use paste in place all the time. I'm constantly making like these educational decks, and I really do use it all the time. So start to learn paste in place. And then if you want to know it for Photoshop, because my friend was like, oh, I use it. He's like, it's great when you're doing, and I forgot what kind of mock-ups he said you're doing. Let's see the size. Image size. What am I running at? Oh, I'm not going to remember this. Cancel. Oh, I'm just going to make a file. So if I copy, those X's, those red X's, I can do a copy of that layer and then say file, new, not new, close, file, open. If I open just like another one, open. If I go to edit, paste special, paste in place, it puts those X's exactly in the same place as it was on the other image. Look at that. The X's don't move. So this is how you get consistency, continuity when you're designing on several pages at once. Paste in place. This is one where I'm always like, everybody memorize the shortcuts, copy and paste. This one I can not memorize because it's too hard to do. It's 3 things, but for Illustrator, it's 3 things. For InDesign, it's 4 buttons. And so it's like, oh no, they changed it. They changed it. And then paste on all art parts is a good one. So play around with these and know your options. But paste in place, I use all the time. So when you hear me say, again, something's skipping, something's not right, I go from one slide to another and it's jumping. It's because you didn't do this. You tried to line it up by eye. I spent many years lining it up by eye until I realized, oh my God, there's a pace in place. Or they introduced it. I don't know how long it's been in there, but there was many a year where I'd sit there and like nudge pixels to get it perfect. And now you can just be like, oh, copy, paste in place, done. So that's my big one. Not the big one. This is the big one. Outlines, 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 outlines. Everybody in their outlines. All right, outlines. Mostly fonts, but I'm going to talk about some other things as well. I want to draw a shape. Here's my shape. Here's the color. It's pink. Okay. I have a pink shape. Guess what? You don't need the black outline to keep the color and the shape. Turn that off. Just don't do it. Stop doing it. I'm going to draw a shape with my pen tool. Make sure you're not adding a black outline. It doesn't need it. Oh, but I want to put this shape on this shape. So it differentiates it. Well, it's pink on pink. One, that's just like a shape. Two, if you're dealing with a different color, and I'm going to get into this more, you don't need the black outline to show that it's a different shape. You just turn that off, and it's going to look far more professional. Now, the big one I get into is fonts. I'm going to do a big fat font. And I'm going to teach you how to do this the right way. Not the shitty way, excuse me. Not the improper way. Look at this. All right. Boom. Got that. Let's make it yellow. Yellow. Boy, really wish I could read that better. Oh, I know what to do. I'll add an outline. There you go. Done. And then usually it's like smaller than that. For some reason, students do this. That's not helping at all. And it actually is almost an eye irritant. Like this thin black line is just like irritating on the eyes. Now, the other thing it does is 99% of the time, unless you're checking everything, you're applying the stroke to the middle of the line. So let me outline this font. And then I'm going to zoom in. I need a better letter. Maybe the E will show it. If I do, I'm going to have to do it to extremes. But see how it's adding it to the middle. And nobody ever changes this. But then I'm like, oh, but I want a really thick font. You see what it's doing? It's actually cutting into my letter. So the letter is now improperly formed. So you're like, oh, I want a thick outline. But you are now distorting the actual letter shape. And it comes through in like letters like R and like things like that. S's, oh, S's start to look like crud. So if you want to outline a font, then you have to go through several steps. And you need the outline to be intentional. And what I mean by intentional is like, oh, I can't read that on the background. First, try to adjust the background. Second, change your colors. Like do everything but the outline because it's a crutch. Or you do this. I'm going to change this one and I'm going to take off the outline. I have one layer. I have two layers. This one I can make fat. You know, like I want it outline and I want it showing up and I want it intentional. And I'm also going to change my fill to black as well. Two different. Now I can take this one and put it on top. And my outline isn't disturbing the text. The outline isn't encroaching. And then it's filling in where it needs to fill in. Now the other like cool part you can do is I can take this and like start doing like rad little things like offsetting it. And maybe I do a fill and I'm gonna make sure this object arrange bring the front and put that on top. And then I have this, 3D effect with intentionality. It's not done. This is like, I'm developing graphic elements. I'm not just like outlining to outline. I'm intentionally thinking like, I want to outline that font and I'm going to do it. I'm not just gonna, thank you. I'm not just gonna like, here, this is the difference. There, that's about the same stroke. Like, which one do you want? Look at the end. So that's a perfect place. That's a perfect place. Look at the end. Real sharp. I still have my sharp end. Here, what's with that crap? Bleh, that looks like crud. We talk about, so, outline with intentionality. The other one is, and I think I showed you guys this. I feel like I played with this, but I'm going to show you it again. I'm going to, like, do, I don't know what that is. And then I'm going to have like something else. This is just, scribbles for now, because I just want to show you some scribbles. And then oh, weird. Looks like a butt. All right. I've got these lines and it's like, oh, here's my design. It's supposed to be something, and it's my drawing, and I want it to be like a cartoon, which is all good. It's great. It's great. And usually do it with that thin line for some reason again. And I'm going to take off the fill. Don't stop here. Again, this came from just like the idea of when did I start doing this? I was doing stuff like this, and I would do a shape, and I'd be like, God, I wish that just had more life. I wish it had life. It's what I want, but it needs life. So you're gonna grab that, and then under stroke, or you can go here. I go to Window, Stroke, and then look at your availability from how your ends end, which helps. So here's my ends. See them? Oh, let's make this like 2. Let's go fat. See how those crap ass ends? Oh, I just click a button and it makes them a little softer. Or I can cut them off, and that's a little weird there, but it makes them squared off. Check those things. This will turn your corners and smooth them. Let's do that. It's just a soft curve, or it'll make them chamfered. I don't play much with that, but just so you know it's there. I hope you all know how to make dash lines, changing these. If you ever wanted dash lines, I hope you know where to go for dash lines. Arrowheads. You want an arrow? You got an arrow. How do I fix that giant arrowhead? Scale it. Make it 50. I want it pointing the other way. Just hit that button. I use these arrows all the time. And there's hundreds to choose from. So, and I know I'm still talking about lines. So I'm going to turn off the arrowheads. I want nothing. None. Here, down here, these. Just by simply doing that to that line, let's increase it. I'm going to make it real fat. It adds life to that line. It looks like somebody drew that one comparatively if I had a uniform profile on it. And I go through and I do this, like, I'll have a little something and I'm like, okay, I want the outline, but I'll like go through and be like, what's the perfect one that makes this one feel like it was drawn the best I can? Maybe it's even something like that. It just it adds a beginning and an end, sort of, instead of just being, I use that one every once in a while. Look at its hair. You can do 1,000 of those. You got hairs. They're built in here. I never go beyond these. I think you can import some other shapes or profiles. I've never really done it, but play with that shape. Like this piece. let's try, look at a, like, if I do that, and it knows your start and end point. And so, you know, it makes it thick and thin for you. Work with that. But when you do lines, if you keep them, make them intentional and not just, well, it was there because when I drew it, it showed up and I just left it. Like, make it intentional. 3 images to show you from my life, because I look around, I look in the world, and I think I said, like, I tell you guys, I don't know who I told, maybe it's you guys, another group. Look around. Oh, it's drop shadows. Look around. I want proof in your life in commercial graphic design. I want to see a drop shadow that you see out there. Professional, not crap like, oh, this was published, but yeah, professional. 1 drop shadows, 2 outlines. Oh, shoot. Here's one. Did you guys hear about that? The world's largest bounce house that was in Milwaukee? I went to it. It was fun. I went with my son. Here's the signage. Okay. No outlines, right? Except for on the figure. No outlines. They didn't outline the speech bubble. They didn't outline this. They didn't outline anything. It's just the character who's a cartoon. Shit. Let me open this in Photoshop so I can zoom in. Downloads. Oh man, the pink one. And look at those intentional lines. Thin to thick to thin. Oh, I wonder how they did that. Probably an Illustrator. You know, or, you know, like this one. This is an oval. Thin to thick to thin. Same oval. Thin to thick to thin. Some of these could have been done, you know, like, but a lot of these do look like they're just that Illustrator setup, you know, like it's a broad, you know, that's how they do it. But it's intentional outlines. They're leaving gaps, you know, it's just not a standard outline around everything. And then when it comes with the graphics, there's not a single outline because it's not needed. Look at the way these colors work with each other. It's just not needed. Let's open up another one. Now we're forgetting the other 2. I'm gonna embarrass myself. Open up the wrong file. Here, I thought this is red. Look at these, old school. Way back when, you know, these are firecrackers. No black outlines were used. This is like old school printing. This is like 3 color. We got yellow, red, black, gray, and green. You know, 4 color. You know, they're just banging these out. There's no black outline. They didn't put a black outline around black or anything like that. And in fact, like, look at how cool they did it around the A here. You know, they cut out that A, like instead of the cat face, you know, going over it, they cut it out in like a cool way. It's like intentional, like it's thin to thick there. You know, like it shows some thought. Even though this may look like kind of like crappy, it shows thought that they thought about that. Like not everything's outlined. They didn't have outlines around the irises and all that parts. There's this thing doesn't have black around it. This is, I don't know, some weird sperm. I don't know why that's on there. But again, no outlines. And then this one was, oh, it's open. I like this one too. Look at this poster. Look at that. Not a single, things are this over pure color. Just those letters are running together. Just pure color on color. Not a single black line on this poster. Anywhere. Like, how rad is that? And then I love, look at the intentionality of this lineup. Look at that. Oh my God, almost perfect. I'm sure the designer was like, holy shit, when they saw that they could get this to line up like that, where these lines came down and went into this can. That was like a, oh God, perfect. You know, like this is perfect kind of idea. But yeah, I was bowling with my son. It was that kind of arcade. Saw this. I was like, I gotta take a picture of that. Look how rad that is. Not a single outline, just pure color for color's sake. 4 colors. 4. 5. Well, no, I'll count this orange can be a mix of these two. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And look how bold and bright and crazy that is. And that you can do that with no black, no having to tell people that, you know, oh, the edge of the S is here. Let me make it in black. No, let's stop doing that. Let's start making, like, if you're going to outline, I want outline. You know, I want big, bold, and intentionality behind it. I don't want the next project to be all outlines either, but if you're going to do it, you do it, and you do it as part of your design process and not as a fix is also the other thing. Like, oh, I'm going to put a light outline on it because the image it's on top of, it doesn't read well. Fix the image. And again, that's a lesson coming up in the future in this class. So yeah, pay attention to those things. You know, elevate the design. We don't need the crutches that we've used. Start experimenting beyond that. How do I know all this? It's just experimentation. Just start playing around. You know, like, and that's sort of, oh, I guess that goes to another point too, with the work that you're doing now on for the bubbler. When it comes to, like, I will make comments and love it. But don't just be like, he said to do this, this, and this and be done. Part of it is you, like, I'm giving you clues. Here's what I would change. And then look at it and be like, what else could I change? Like, should I adjust this? Should I adjust something else? Everything's infinitely adjustable, and it's up to you. Don't fire off like right away. Like, I get it. Like, some students are like, I make these comments. Oh, I have an apology on the comments too. I'm making the comments and I'll get like 2 more comments done on like other students. And I'm like racing because I try to get to everybody every day. I'm racing and I look back. I'm like, how did I just commented on your work? How did you make the changes already? Like, you should make the changes and then look at it and absorb it and see, like, what else can I do? Is there something more? Like, it's just not like I did what he said, I got it done. Check it off. Like, you're supposed to like absorbing it a bit and being like, okay, oh, I see that. Okay. Keeps talking about the freaking margins. You know, like, well, I'm going to offset it on purpose. You know, like, oh, he said, move it over. I moved it over. Well, then how does that affect everything else? And do I have to move anything else? Does that affect the rest of the piece? Like, think about it fuller. Like, it's very funny when I get that and I'm like making comments. I'm like, what? How did you submit already? Like, I just posted this and you're posting back to me and it's been 10 minutes, which is fine, but I want you to look at it. Like, every design you're doing, it's not just me. It is, you know, I want you to look further past what I say too and be like, should I make more adjustments? He mentioned this. Okay, why did he mention this? How is it making this effect? Maybe I'll play around a little bit. And that's not this apology, but you'll hear then now, I think I said this maybe last week, I see noticeable things, I call them out to you. And then you turn it in, and I'm like, looks good, turn it in. And then I'm like, hey, you know what? Now looking at this again, I noticed something else. You're the person who should be looking at it again and noticing something else and learning, like, huh, I want it, now it looks different. Let me look at it again. Let me look at that PDF and like really notice, okay, I should change this. Maybe I'll move this over. Because sometimes if you make one change, then you see it again, then you're like, oh, I see that because of that one change, something else needs to change. And sometimes they're minor, or like I'm so engrossed, I'm like, you need to change that one thing that I'm not seeing a problem over here because the big problem's right here right now. So work with me on those back and forth. That's what your art director is going to do. Back and forth. Really look at it. But yeah, push yourself to learn more and kind of like tweak. It's all about tweaking. Like, look at it, put it away, open it back up, and look at it again. That's a big one too. Is like, put it away, work on something else, and then look at it again and just double check. get it out of your eyes for a bit. And then my final thing, because these will be quick classes when it gets to this 4th week, when it's just up to you to refine your design. So last thing, I know my grammar in my comments is really bad. I'm the worst typer in the world, and I'm always holding a stylus in my hand because I'm marking, like I mark up and then I start typing and I don't take anything out of my hand. So I know it's always like you instead of your, and it doesn't spell check. And so I sound like a butthole when I'm typing, but that's why. It's because I'm holding stuff in my hands and racing the type. I couldn't find a better way. I can't do the audio one, doesn't work fast enough. Typing's fast enough, and I'm not about to do the Craig Smallish record it, then post it. That seems like it'd take even longer. So, all right, cool. Any comments, questions, concerns? All right, cool. Let's make these, let's make us proud with this bubbler thing. There's some rad ones out there. Look at, this is the peer review. Look at everybody's. And if you're like, oh man, like, wink, wink. I wish I was doing that good. You have time, you can improve. So there's always room for improvement. All right, take care. I'll talk to you on Thursday. I will check all the work today before I leave school, and have a good one. Get to designing. Let's see what you come up with. See ya. Bye.